Here are 10 minimalist rules that changed my life, and this is the ADHD edition. And the first rule is going to be purchase with purpose, because with ADHD, impulsivity is definitely a thing, and we see something is shiny, it's new, and we just have to have it. And we get it back to our home, and it may not be something we actually need, it may not be something we actually like, but we just got it because it is the new thing. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure you don't make those decisions. So take a few seconds to just think about it, to stop and think about it. Do I really need this item I'm about to purchase? If not, then don't get that item. But if so, if you need it and you know the function and you know where it's going to go and all these things beforehand, then go ahead and get that item. You don't want to bring in extra items into your home that you don't really need. And the next rule is the 90-90 rule. And what this is if you have something you haven't used in 90 days, and then you look ahead to the next 90 days and you're not going to use it there either, then you probably want to go ahead and get rid of it because it's just taking up space. It's just become clutter. And you may not use it at all after those 90 days anyway. It might be a year or 6 months, even longer, before you decide to actually use it. And so go ahead and try to get rid of it before it actually becomes clutter for that long. Now with ADHD, what I would do is all these things I think about that I may say, okay, I'm going to get rid of it. I don't think I'm going to use it in the next 90 days. Go ahead and put it down somewhere in a section. Just have this section designated to all those things. And then over the next couple of days, go ahead and think about it. Okay, I've thought I'm going to get rid of this thing, and you go back and you look at it and then you try to figure out if you're still going to get rid of it. You still can't figure out anything you're going to need this item for in the next 90 days. If you do that for a couple of days and just a double check kind of thing, then you can be sure that you have a good idea that you are not going to use this thing at all. But I would hate for you to get rid of something, and just because you can't look ahead to those 90 extra days, you just forget about something you actually need it for, and then you actually need it, and then it becomes an issue. So just be aware, or just take that extra precaution, because I know sometimes with ADHD, it's a lot harder to plan out something 90 days ahead. And the next rule is get rid of the just in case items. You don't really need them. Well, this is with a caveat. Now, if you have a generator where you think the power is going to go out and you need that generator because you're in a place where the power goes out often, then that's a good just in case item. Now, if you live in Florida and you have a snow plow and it's 80 degrees in Florida, it doesn't snow in Florida, and you just keep it because you're just in case that one random event where it actually does snow in Florida and it's really piling up, then that's a bad just in case item. Because what happens is if you're keeping items for just in case, it might be something that just becomes clutter, and you don't want to keep items that just become clutter. So you want to go ahead and minimize and get rid of that thing and get it out of your home, and then just keep the items that are going to be just in case items that are really essential. The other ones, go ahead and get rid of those. And the next rule is having less clutter can actually help you have less stress and less frustration, because you walk into a room and there's all this stuff in there and you can't figure out where things are because there's so much clutter there. Then it's just going to be frustrating for you, because you're going to look around and then see, wow, I have no idea where anything is, or the thing I'm looking for, there's no way I'm going to be able to find it in here. You know, it might be under something or behind something, and all that clutter just creates that stress and frustration, especially if the room is really cramped with stuff. And then you're trying to figure out, okay, I'm in this room, I just can't get comfortable because all this stuff is around me right now. So when you actually declutter, when you actually get rid of things and only have the things that you actually need in the room, then it's going to help make that frustration level go down, and also help you with less stress as well. And the next rule is minimalism actually saves you time, because you walk into a room and there's a lot of stuff in there and you're trying to find something, then it's going to take you a lot longer to find it in a room where there's a lot of clutter, as opposed to you walk into a room, you've gotten rid of all the extra stuff, you just have the stuff you actually need. Now you can look around the room and find things a lot quicker. You don't have to waste 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, when you're in a rush, especially to try to get to somewhere, and you're looking around and you need the thing and you don't find it because it's under something or behind something. Then that's going to make you really frustrated, and again, create some stress for you. But it's just going to make you have all this extra time to find the thing that you actually need, as opposed to you walk into a room and don't have all the extra stuff. just the stuff you need, then you'll be able to find things a lot quicker, and that's going to save you time overall. And the next rule is everything, absolutely everything needs a home in your house or apartment, because what happens is you get things, they don't have a home, they don't have a place where they belong, you don't know where they go when you're trying to put it away, and then that thing just becomes clutter because you're like, I want to keep it, but I don't have any place to put it, and now it just sits out somewhere. And so you want to make sure everything that you keep, everything that you have has some place in your home, and minimalism will actually help you decide those things. Because if it doesn't have a home, then you need to start thinking about, okay, this is an extra item. Do I really need it? And if I really need it, is there something I can get rid of, or some way I can move something around to make space for it? And if you cannot figure that out, then it may be time to get rid of that thing, give it away, give it to somebody, but get it out of your home or apartment, and just keep the things that you know have a home and that you know that you need and are not going to be clutter at any time. And the next rule is decluttering will be easier, organizing will be easier, because you're getting rid of things that you don't need. You're getting rid of all the stuff that's just extra stuff that you don't need, and you're going down to just the essentials in your home. And so when you have to declutter and organize, you aren't going around figuring out all the different things that you have that are just extra there and organizing those things, or going through those things and figure out, okay, what do I need to throw away because I've had this for a while? If you're going to do minimalism, then you're going to have just the essentials. And so when you walk around your home or apartment, it's going to be really easy. You're going to have just the essential things you need. So you have to just organize those things. Or you have some things that you might not need at the time, but most of your home has things that you just need. And so you get rid of the extra things that you don't need and declutter those. All those activities are going to take less time because you don't have as many things. And so if you have ADHD, you kind of don't like declutter and don't like organizing because it takes a lot of time and sometimes it can be a big task, then you won't have to do as much if you're doing minimalism and just keeping the essential things that you actually need. And the next rule is do a daily declutter. You want to go around and look and see if anything's out of place. And the reason that this is good is because you're trying to maintain just the essentials when you're doing minimalism. You don't want to have just extra stuff going around and being in your apartment that you just look at and be like, why is that here? I don't need that. Why am I keeping it? And so you want to go around and look at that stuff and get rid of it out of your home. Now, the cool thing about this is it's going to help you maintain a clutter-free home just by going around 5 or 10 minutes per day, looking to see if anything needs to be organized or anything needs to be decluttered. It's going to help save you time in the long run when you do have to go around and do this as well. And you're just trying to maintain to have the essential items in your home that you actually need, that are actually good for you to have, instead of having all this clutter that's going to build up. And then if it does build up, you're going to have to do a huge declutter or do a huge day for organization. And that can be pretty frustrating. And look, with ADHD, I'd much rather do 10 minutes per day than have a huge day where I'm doing 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours of organizing and decluttering. And with ADHD, you don't want to have to sit through a 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour day to go through and organize and declutter your home. That is probably the most boring thing and not really interesting to you. And you may just be like, I'm not going to do it because it's just not something that I want to spend my time doing. And there's more interesting things to do. And so I'm going to put it off and procrastinate on it. And so instead of that, if you do the 10-minute, 5-minute per day declutter, it's going to prevent that situation, which is really good because it's going to be a much better and easier time when you have ADHD. And the next rule is go for multifunctional things. Things that serve one purpose are going to take up more space. And if you can have something that actually serves 2 or 3 purposes instead of the one, then it's going to save you space and it's going to be more efficient for you. So for example, if you have 2 or 3 items, and each item only has one function, then you have to have room to store all 3 of those items. But instead, if you have an item that does 2 things or 3 things, now you can actually limit the space that item takes up. For example, you might have a bed with under the bed storage on it built in. And so now that item can also be used to sleep on, but also have things under to store things, or maybe an ottoman that has storage inside it that you can put things in. And you can still use these things for the actual function that they have, the main function that they have. They just have sub functions that actually makes things more efficient for you, actually keeps your house from getting all cluttered up. And that way it's going to be a much better thing to make sure that you can keep your house more organized and have more space, and then not get stressed out because you have so much clutter around. And here is the next rule. You have to be able to let things go, because just don't be so sentimental that you just won't let something go, even though you have no use for it. You know you're not going to use it. Now, there are some things that you want to keep, like if you have, good plates and good silverware you use on special occasions that's been handed down for generations and you just have kept them because they're just that sentimental to you, then that's okay. But for example, if you have a board game that you had that you just played in your childhood, but it doesn't have all the pieces and you've lost some stuff, you lost the instruction booklet, the board is not even working right anymore, and you just decide to keep it because, hey, I played it as a kid, but you aren't going to use it, you haven't played it in 10 years, then it's that time that you actually need to get rid of that thing because you're just not going to use it and now you're just being kind of sentimental over it. So you want to try to assess, am I keeping this because it's actually something I'm using, or am I just keeping it because I'm so sentimental over it, but it's really not something I'm ever going to actually use ever again, and now it's become clutter in my home, and that can be a very bad thing. And now there is more to this. I do have a video on ADHD organization rules that changed my life, and you should watch that video right now.